I just took another guy's job because I proved, I sold myself as worthy of that, and that I would be a leader in the house and that I would bring content to my team. I did do this and that, so there's no need to go counting spots every second and oh my gosh, now I only have this. But it is a real topic. So yeah, my thoughts with the whole Matt South thing and retirement players in general, we're trying to be as realistic as possible when it comes to the SFL, so it's just not realistic. You're going to see attrition, with any player that, in real life that comes back. I mean, you're going to tell me that some quarterback takes 3 or 4 years off, and he's going to be more talented physically than like a young Joe Burrow coming into the league, or all these young gunslingers. That's just not realistic. I did love you pointed out. I did have the time to listen to Cam on Coach's show, and one thing that I think is awesome that Cam said is that retirement should be a more serious decision. It's not looked at as a serious decision right now because there's not really a consequence of retirement besides taking a break. So I don't know what the end all solution is. I don't know if that's hey, if you retire, you're done for, or it's a 2-year limit. But even if you take 1 year off, you lose all your animations. If you take an additional year off, then you lose all your animations that you had plus minus 5 to your overall rating or to your active cap or something like that. Whatever the thing is, it's like you have to have a limit. It has to be small because we got a lot of guys getting in line to get in this league and join in on the fun. And it's like you take your seat in the back of the line.
Let me throw out a comment. Slyn Shady, 92, GM of Las Vegas, said a lot of the issue is the fact that we're changing eras into the subscription era, which turned a lot of veterans off. Then they had to think and decided it was worth it. It will settle down in a less transitional offseason. What do you think about his point?
I mean, I think that is a good point, but I think that, the rule still has to be addressed solidly. I think that because regardless of whichever season it is, and we are in a weird transitional. I mean, we saw a wave of retirements, which is one reason why I'm taking the luxury to take my time and make sure I make the right decision when it comes to where I'm going, is because anyone who is a free agent this year had more of a luxurious feeling. I mean, they had almost their pick of the litter, whether you're a wide receiver, you're this or that. I mean, you're getting 9 calls, 15 phone calls. Defensive linemen can go where they want to. I mean, and that's due to the wave of retirement, and in combination with the expansion. So, I mean, retirement this year, free agency this year was really nice for a free agent. But we're definitely not going to see that every year. And I don't think there's going to be people coming in from retirement left and right like a Matt South. But the rule should still be addressed so that it's a serious decision, and that's just kind of how I feel about it. You want to ensure the rookies that that this isn't going to be an issue, and people should still have to think about it a little bit more, because I don't see it. The league's still going to continue to grow. Even though this is a very weird, we're transitioning to the subscription model. The league will still grow every year. There's still going to be a line of people looking to get in every year. So that's not going to stop, regardless of this being a weirder year than others.
Right. There seems to be a little bit of support for what you said. A couple people chiming in on the chat saying, looks like Roland 84. I think vets that retire for more than one season should regress. And to your point, and I was fortunate enough to do Coach's Corner the same day that Cam did. So he did the morning show, I did the afternoon show. And basically what I said is, save Michael Jordan. We've never seen a player come back taking 3, 4, 5 seasons off and come back at the level they were when they retired. It just doesn't happen. It's not realistic. And I know that there's a lot of things in this league we're trying to make realistic. So I think that some sort of regression, like you talked about, maybe you take a season off and that's okay. But anything more than that, maybe if you take 2 seasons off, you have to come in at a tier lower than you were in before, or something along that. The other question, though, is when a retired person comes back, they get to jump the head of the line, right? So you got these rookies that put in all these weeks of checking in and building their minor league player. Then you have a whole minor league season where they have 11 more check-ins. Then we have the draft, and somebody decides that, well, you know what, I want to come back and play, and they jump the head of the line ahead of all those rookies doing all of those things that we're asking them to do.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you don't want to see that. I mean, you and I didn't even have to go through the minor leagues to get here. I mean,
Right,
we had it good. I had it really good, getting to be part of the very first like live showing, and go to Boston, and that was a really neat thing. And it's unfortunate that COVID's going to prevent, that suck at COVID. It sucks that that's going to happen, and it's going to prevent, a live draft scenario where people are going to be able to be in studio. But I mean, to think of, how determined these guys are to be a part of this league when they know that they're still playing an entire minor league season, fighting their way through. Some of these guys may be put back in the minors next year because they're either not drafted or they're holding out for a certain position. So I mean, yeah, it's a little crazy to think about. And I saw someone commented. They were asking you specifically. They said SFL Fowler said, Axis, your thoughts on Truzman going from fullback to halfback, even though I retired after the season was over, but came back 3 weeks later. And, it's like, that's not a real retirement, man. That's just you not knowing how to make up your mind, dude, I know,
I agree with that. Because there was a few other players that announced, hey, I'm going to retire, but they didn't go through the process of actually retiring. And, I think it was Slim Shady's, to his point, had some time to think about it, made a decision, and came back. If you retire and you make the decision and you process, the SFL paperwork with air quotes, and then you sit out a season, that's retirement.
Oh, yeah, and he's putting it out there. He's saying I did make a new player, though. So I don't know, I mean, that's up to the league to police that up. I don't know if you should be, allowed to go in there and make a new player, if you're coming out of, just when there's other guys in line to be that position, or all the, someone's like, this halfback is just waiting to be a halfback in this league, and all of a sudden wide receiver's like, I'm moving to halfback, and I announced my retirement a few weeks beforehand, too, just to note that. But, it's an interesting topic. I do think that it just needs it definitely, at the very least, I think it's safe to say the league needs to clean it up a little bit. And, I don't consider a real retirement when you haven't even gone through a season. Just saying you're retired and then going back on that decision a couple of weeks later, that's not something. But taking a whole year off, a whole season off, that's a real retirement in my eyes, and there should be for sure regression, and serious regression at that. If you want to come back at your player, it should almost be to the point where they're telling you might as well just go create a new player and get back in line with a new character, because the regression is going to hurt you that much. It should be a real, you're going to feel that regression type of thing. And then after a season or two, I think 2 seasons max would be the way I would run it. 2 seasons max, dude. If you really want to come in at and work your way up from a little bit above what you were as a rookie, go for it. But why don't you just hang it up and start it again? Because I wouldn't let someone come in after they were out for more than 2 seasons.
I think we're definitely getting, to no surprise, rookies in the chat saying basically, jumping the front of the line is not fair. Let's see, what did Fox say? Fox said, I think if you retire, it should be locked for at least a year. I'm not sure if he means a year or a season. And I think you should only have a limited time to come back. So that's an interesting point, too, so maybe you have 1 season, it's okay. Season number 2, if you sit out a second season and you come back, you have to take some sort of regression. 3 or more seasons, you have to start back at the bottom. Yeah. Something like that.
And I mean, and that kind of just leads us to the subscription model in general, because we were talking about how this kind of off season is an anomaly in comparison to all other off seasons. I'll say right off the bat, as far as the subscription model, we saw the wave of retirements. We saw a lot of people. I'm not going to go into the reasonings. I think that some of these people left the league. What I am going to say is I do think the subscription model was a scapegoat for most of them. It was, or they're like, or they already had frustrations, whether that be with the league or with the team, or they were, getting drawn out, or this is becoming a league that it wasn't, that leagues change and some people don't like change. This is a completely different league now as we're trying to be an esport than it was when it was more chess club like way back in the day. So maybe it wasn't what they signed up for. Now they're like, oh geez, this guy Johnny's coming in and setting the bar for what it needs to be, like for what it is, how active you need to be as a player and this and that. I just enjoyed sitting on my couch and watching games, so or they're frustrated with how the league's doing things, or they've always given an opinion. We could go on and on about why these guys decided to retire. I think the subscription model was a scapegoat for a lot of them, because I don't think the money's that big of an increase or that big of an issue. I don't think it's a scapegoat for all of them. I think there's some real issues there, because some guys were international players kind of getting a free ride before, and now they have to pay, and that's not easy for them. But
so then, what is your take on if they're going to do this anyway, and instead of doing it in the middle of the season, do you think it would have been easier to do it in the off season, or were they did it halfway through the season to get ahead of the next off season?
Well, yeah, and they did it halfway through the season strictly for like the minor leaguers. At least that's how I feel. They did it so because the minor leaguers needed to get paid for, and that was a good time to launch it. And they weren't chasing guys. Everybody else was still already paid for their seasons. They're going to finish out, and they needed to. Here's my thing with the subscription model. And I'm actually one who will advocate for when the league starts doing certain things or having prizes and things like that. I don't mind an increase in prices. I do think that I don't mind an increase in ownership fees, and things like that. When when it all makes sense. But with a subscription model, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the prices. What I don't like is that it's on a month-to-month basis or monthly subscription versus per season.
I think that makes more sense.
If you could do it per season, man, it's like have every minor leaguer pay for one minor league season at a time, and then once you become a pro, you can still make it where it's cheaper to commit for the long haul. You want to pay for 5 SFL seasons, pay for 5 SFL seasons at a discounted price, 2 SFL seasons at a discounted price, season by season basis, because I think you're going to start to run into this issue. Now, for one, I'm definitely not a rich man. Like I do not. I'm closer to poor than rich any day. But I do. I'm kind of like wasteful. I like to. I'll spend my money on anything I have fun with. I'll waste money for like a Starbucks coffee or something silly at the convenience store. So paying for the league isn't an issue with me. But some people might be like, look at what Jonny did. He's going to wait maybe all the way until draft day to, or close to. You guys are paying for the league right now, and I'm not paying for it.
Right. That's the exact point I was going to make. Is you're going to have more and more free agents holding out and waiting, so they don't have to pay for the offseason.
Just to save a buck or two. It's like you guys are paying for just because you want to re-sign, I can still re-sign with my team, but you guys are if you want to re-sign during the re-sign period, you guys got to start paying. It's like I don't have to pay for anything right now. So and just so it's on the record, and no one misinterprets that, I'm definitely not doing that for the money reason. I'm not waiting out right now just to save, but I don't think that I don't put that past other people doing that, nor do I necessarily blame them for if they try and realize, hey man, there's 2 months or 3 months of an off season I don't have to pay for because I'm just going to buy my 3-month subscription or whatever when the season's about to start, and things like that. But anyway, so yeah, that's just that's really all I have to say about the subscription model.
So let me change gears on you real quick. It's not something we had planned on talking about, but in the chat, 13 Cash Money 13 responding to Slim Shady said the amount of money an owner has to pay to own a team and start a team up, they deserve a player too. So here's another hot topic that was in general chat maybe about 3 weeks ago about whether owners should or should not have players on the field. I personally think I agree with 13 Cash Money 13. I agree. If I'm investing all this money and all this time, and I'm the head of the franchise, I should be allowed to have a player. I haven't seen an argument yet in the chat on why owners should not have a player, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think right now they should be allowed to have a player. Here's the thing: like if there was a cash prize for like the championship, where you're handing out $10,000 for first place in this league. Then, and 50% of that automatically goes to ownership. The other 50% gets divvied amongst players on the team, maybe even based on their salary cap. Like a guy like Gabriel Manning would get a higher percentage than a guy with a lower cap or something like that. You could have fun with prize money. I think one day this league will have prize money. I think it's actually capable of getting that right now. That would kind of be my first initiative for this league. I would want to go grab a sponsor who wants to put down, kind of cash money every year and kind of have their name bolstered all over the league, on everything, because that's our primary sponsor. So when it comes to that, and when you start rewarding owners in other ways, then it's like, you know what, man, you're an owner, you're the businessman. by having a prize in place, we've now inflated the value of your team. When you got, you bought your team for pennies. Now teams are worth something. You put a $10,000 prize out every single season, you're just going to have gamblers people are going to want to buy teams for $8K because they're like, dude, I just have to win one championship and I'm starting to make profits and stuff. So all of a sudden, the worth of every team goes up. These guys, this is businesses that they own now, and they own these entities. Like at that point, it's like, dude, you don't need a quarterback, you don't need a safety. Like, let someone else get in there and have some fun. But right now, they're not getting anything in return. These guys are operating at a loss of income because that's just the stand, where it is for all these teams. These owners are enthusiasts and they're great at what they do. So it's like, let them have some fun, let them have a player on the field until you give them a carrot on a stick where you don't need that as a reward.
Right. Here's some interesting. KZeus37 says no owner should have a player. Then somebody agreed. But then Rizabit says players are always going to be a thing. Owners aren't going to vote to not be able to play, which makes a lot of sense. But then KZeus37 comes back and says you're literally taking up space for a rookie. So owners taking up spaces where we have all these rookie in line. That's actually a decent point to talk about. That an owner is taking up a spot that a rookie could be having instead of having to go back and play in the minor leagues again.
There's owners that have been. Yeah, these owners have been here for a long time, though. And they are loving you rookies being a part of it and us being a part of it. But think of it this way. Like for one, what if I don't necessarily have ownership aspirations right now. I have enough I want to kind of be breaking ground as what it means to be a player in this league and a quarterback, and I want to just be part of my team and do things from that forefront. But what if one day, and not too near future, but what if just in 3 years from now, I'm like, I want a stake in ownership or something because of what I contribute to a team and from a business level and in esports. I think there's owners that would give that to me. I think that I could try and play politics and try and get the votes and try and apply for an expansion team. Now while it's not something I want right now, I wouldn't want to hang up Jonny Pichler as a quarterback, and nor would the league want me to hang up Jonny Pichler as a quarterback. I don't want to lose my character. So to have to choose between being an owner and a player, especially someone in my shoes, that'd be a very tough thing. I would hate that rule at that point. Right now, I could care less about it because I have no kind of stake in the game. Like I said, I think that I think settle down. If you're a rookie who just really wants owners to gather, most owners kind of just use their player as a filler player at the end. That they can just put with low ratings and as a fifth DB that you don't even want to be anyway, and they just kind of just to make sure their cap's balanced and stuff. Not most of these owners players aren't star players out there on the field. Meaning getting all the attention and glamour out there. Now, while some are, there's just different situations. Again, my whole point we'll always go back to when there's a prize pool and the owners are reaping benefits, and when ownership is really making money, when all these teams are making money and the owners are making money because they own the team, then I don't think they need to also share the enjoyment on the field. They can make room for a person then. But until then, understand that these owners who are taking the time to do so much, these guys are all losing money right now. These guys are all operating at a negative, So you're a rookie right now, but whoever's saying that in the chat, your future owner that's going to love to have you on a team and be part of a team, he's losing money, kind of forking out money in advance, doing these little things, until the league becomes profitable or until he finds a way as a businessman to make his team and his market profitable. Right now, these aren't self-sustaining businesses where he's where he's Robert Kraft over there, trying to create himself a character and play next to Brady. That's just not how it is, So let him have some of his fun and enjoy, being an enthusiast and a player in this league as well and seeing his name on TV while he's forking out more money than you are, to do what it takes behind the scenes and more energy.
So speaking of money, and I know this is the one topic for sure that you and I are going to completely disagree on, and I'm kind of anxious to see what people in the chat say, and that is the whole pay-to-play argument. Now, you support it, I'm against it. Am I stating your position correct?
Wait, I support the rule, or I support being allowed to pay to play?
You support pay to play.
I don't say, just saying the word pay to play. I don't support people that pay, having an advantage, just because they have deeper pockets. Let's word it this way, just so we're on this, because that's how if you're going to have a debate, we got to make sure that we understand each other. I think that you support the rule that is in place that restricts anyone else paying for anyone else's subscription. You support
Okay.
that, right? Correct?
I completely support that. Correct.
I don't support that, but you can start with why you support that rule.
Okay. My opinion is it's pretty simple. If I'm an owner of a team or GM or whatever, I call up Marcus Dunhill and I'm like, hey Marcus, obviously you can come out of retirement because we haven't changed that rule yet. So why don't you come out of retirement and I'm going to pay for your subscription. I already talked to Gabriel Manning. He's down. We're going to go get Jason Williams, maybe Cody Scott, whoever. And I'm going to go buy all the top players in the league. And they're not going to have to pay their subscriptions, which is another hot topic that we just talked about, because I have money and I'm going to pay for them. So then the response back to me is, well, I would, Dave, but Team B already offered me that. What can you offer me more than that? And I'm like, well, I'll pay your subscriptions and maybe I'll get you some Sector 6 gear or something. And then Team B's got to up the ante from there. I don't like that in this league. I think it's wrong, and I think it's detrimental to owners who have less money or GMs that have less money, or just people in general. Other players pitching in and saying, "Oh, I've got a bunch of extra money, so let's go buy a team." I think, for me, it takes the fun out of it.
Okay, so I don't disagree with anything that you said as far as the reasons behind the rule, the morality behind the rule. Like, I can get down on a lot of that. Well, I could even have some side debates on, like, well, it will actually enhance competitiveness, in certain ways, and this and that, and it will, in recruitment in different ways. I'm just going to say I agree with all the reasons you just said. My whole thing is, this rule is an illusion. This rule actually doesn't exist. Like, meaning, and I've ran my share of leagues, whether they be adult recreational leagues, adult competitive leagues, I've had my place in the rule making zone. And what I don't do is, or wouldn't do is put a rule in place that you just can't enforce. In this league, you just can't enforce that. So let me kind of elaborate. Right now, we have no way of, we don't make it a practice to identify players, which, that would be a quick thing. That would be an initiative of mine if I was, league staff. I think that, especially as you're trying to be an e-sport, get sponsorship, blah, 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 blah. I think that that we should have a way that we submit our identification, prove who we are. And actually, I'll save that to go on a tangent after we're done talking for the pay for play, because there's a lot of benefits to being able to identify who's in your league and make sure that these are real people. And that, and there's not one person, running multiple accounts and things like that. But right now, we're not even identifying people. You guys know that my name is John Pichler because I've given you the privilege to know who I am, and I've opened myself up to the face of the world more so than maybe the average person. There's people that are named Robert Redford. I don't know if he just wanted to name his guy after an actor or if that's really him. There's people out there that I've just never met. I've never seen their faces. I don't know, if, he has a girl's, they have a picture of a girl as their avatar, but they might be an older dude. They might be this or that. So we're not identifying players. So how do you even police up this rule? Are we just doing a don't ask, don't tell policy? Because I will say, I without a doubt, I know that there's owners, and that there's owners in this chat that are listening that know they've quote unquote helped people with their payments in the past. It happens. That's like they're just doing it. Maybe it's because for the right reasons, or the wrong in their own head. They're trying to justify it to themselves, because they don't want to lose somebody. There are people in this league right now that are getting paid for, I believe, by ownership or by their friends, or being helped out when it comes to money and stuff and this and that. And so, that being said, if what I say is truthful, this rule, this illusion, that's not really an enforceable rule, because I don't know how you keep track of it. If you don't, if we had everybody's identification, then maybe we can match credit cards to this and that. But then, hey, you could still go send your buddy a Visa gift card and stuff through the mail and say, hey, go use that. So who suffers right now? The honest teams suffer. The people who are good. And now the chat I'm not reading necessarily what the chat's saying right now, but they might be figuring out, like, if Pichler knows people are getting paid to play, the only team he's ever played for is St. Louis. It's got to be, no, it's actually not St. Louis. You know why? Because if this rule, because then Shane Masters would be playing this year. Shane Masters, my former teammate, was a great guy, an Australian. He loved being a part of this league, extremely passionate about being part of this league. And he loved the energy that he brought. He's a veteran. He's been around longer than I have. And he's not going to play this year, guys, because he can't afford to play. And And you know what? And he's not going to take anyone else's money. But there are players in this league that will take owners' money. And there are owners that will pay for players. So St. Louis and Shane Masters will suffer because they're an honorable organization and they're going to actually respect the rule that took place, and that's in existence. And this may be a far reach for some people as far as analogies go, but it's kind of like the gun control law. It's like you're taking all the guns out of the good guys' hands, but bad guys are going to find their ways to get guns anyway. So why gun control?
So somebody's going to they're always going to find a way around it. Say, hey, this is my son, this is my family member. So there's another gray area, right? So
yeah, dude, we have 12-year-olds in the league.
Can I pay for him to play?
Yeah, so I mean, dude, we have kids in this league, and again, I have my own opinion on that and stuff too. And there's some great kids in this league, and it's a great bonding experience for father sons, this, that, and the other. And it has some effects when you try and get certain sponsors in the league, and you say that you got kids in your league, you got 13-year-olds. I mean, certain sponsors aren't going to be as so quick to throw your league some money when you're trying to reach an esport level, and you don't have verification on who's in your league and who people are. But yeah, that's exactly it. I don't know if this is. I believe that there's a dad who told me he has a son in the league, and that because both have a player in the league, the dad had to go use the mom's the mom's PayPal account because you couldn't have it come from the same PayPal account, to pay for the kid's player. It's like, how ridiculous are we getting? So when I'm talking about rules that you just can't enforce yet, maybe we should strive to find a way to enforce this rule by implementing other things. But if you can't enforce it, then it's all just then you're only hindering the honest teams, and then also we're wasting energy where our league resources should be putting energy elsewhere into just growth of the league. It's like, just don't even worry about it. If a guy gets paid for one thing, I'll tell you what, if you go pay for whoever you want and say, hey, one thing that money's not going to do, it's not going to buy you good coaching, it's not going to buy you a good locker room culture, and it's not going to buy you an added salary cap to play with, so it's not going to buy you wins. You want to go pay for a buddy, you probably have a good reason to do so because he's proved himself as a good guy in the locker room. I don't think people are going to be doing this to just steal talent from all over the league and that it's going to work the way they want, because it's not going to buy them wins that way. All these general managers and owners in this league are very good about balancing their salary cap and putting on a competitive team, at the end of the day. So I don't think this rule is getting in the way of it. You're not paying for wins. These guys aren't paying for wins. They may steal a star player, but that's just going to have to make them cut two other star players because now you got a guy with a high cap that came into town and stuff. So, I think that people, would more so just be helping their friends out who are less fortunate or this and that, and you're just making the good, honest team suffer by having this rule in place, and you have no way to again, enforce it. What are the punishments for it?
I think enforcement is probably the main issue. I want to jump into the chat for a second. Eddie Gage, in all caps, I can tell you right now, I'm not paying a quarter for any one subscription. It looks like, where'd it go? Andre Krim, I'd love to be paid to play, but it's not realistic. And, Crazy Heights 2000 says he understands that enforcement is an issue, which actually may be the biggest issue of it. And then Phoenix Jones comes in and says, it becomes like European soccer. Bigger clubs with more money will buy better players.
Yes, but again, how do you, we're all playing with the same salary cap. It's not going to buy you better coaching. If you want to go pay a coach to come into town, now that's a different thing. And owners should probably, you should be able to do that. Go pay a coach. These guys know their X's and O's. They should be allowed to go pay a coach to coach their team. Not to be a player on their team, but, some of these guys know their stuff better than others. And maybe that's a way you instill competitiveness and the sport naturally grows. And again, I don't even have really a fundamental issue with some teams wanting to lure some things. Is it illegal for a team to offer, I was given a nice St. Louis cap when I was drafted as the number 1 overall draft pick. Is it illegal for them to give me my hat? No, it's not. So it's there's some great teams that, some owners that put money into their product. I know that, that there's owners that want to help, their teammates get them nice uniforms or things like that. All that, I look at I would look at it's kind of akin to the college landscape. There's going to be universities with nicer facilities. There's going to be, when you get your little tour as a college guy getting a scholarship, they might take you around the pool down in Florida to look at all the girls and say, hey, this is the type of place you're going to be living in. Here, would you like a drink here and there? But at the end of the day, all these colleges still have the same amount of scholarships to offer. They have the same amount of this. They have to play under the same rules. And if they want to use it as a recruitment tool, well, they can use it as a recruitment tool. It's not going to buy them wins at the end of the day the same way it does in real sports, because I mean we have a balanced salary cap at the end of the day, and again, you're not going to buy good locker room culture. You're not going to buy just because you want Jonny Pichler in town or Marcus Dunhill in town, that doesn't mean you have a good coach in town that knows what the hell he's doing with them. If I had other coaches coaching me, I'd probably throw as much picks as Deacon Nickens did last year, but I didn't. I had Gerald coaching me last year. So I mean, it just is what it is.
Hey, so I think I saw, I don't know if anybody in the chat can confirm this. Did I see Cam jump in chat? I thought I saw him somewhere.
I'm sure he's lurking at the very least. I think he said he was.
I was trying to look. I was gonna maybe shoot him out a question, but it looks like no. Somebody mentioned it, but I don't see him actually in here. The Rapid Raccoon says paying for someone also doesn't guarantee a check-in. And again, that's a good point too, right? Just because I pay somebody to come to my team doesn't mean they're going to do what I asked of them or what's good for the team.
Now let's talk. Now you're talking. Now let's talk about a little bit more controversy right here. This again goes to why it's important for this league to identify players. I do think that it does kind of pay for a check-in. And here's the thing: I think that I don't think there's anything that's stopping owners and coaches from logging into their players' discords and going in there and checking in and saying, "Hey, man," and having friends who are doing so. I don't if this league right now, and this is to help out the rookies, to trim the fat, to trim the guys who either don't really exist or who aren't active or who just are staying part of this league because they've been around for a while, back when the league was desperate for players and promised their friend who was an owner, "Yeah, I'll play, man. Yeah, I'll keep playing for you because I got a high-rated quarterback now or because of this, but really I'm not that into the league," and stuff, when there's guys who just want to get into this league so bad. Right now, I would say if the league said, okay, as of tomorrow or as of next season, we are going to demand that you send in valid proof of identification for who you are, and tell us which account that comes from and which player that matches up. I think there's some players in this league that just wouldn't be able to provide that to you, and that's a serious problem. That means that there's some players that might not be like legitimate players out there that are kind of being run by their friends' accounts or something like that, and that are doing the check-ins and stuff for them. And I think that and it's like, let's enforce that. Let's force identification, a driver's license or an ID, like a real sport, to prove who you are in an esport, and to just demand it. All other esports, Modern Warfare, League of Legends, like these people know who these people are in real life. These people, like, if we're trying to be an esport, let's demand identification from every single player, because you're gonna get some people that just it's gonna trim the fat a little bit. Some people might fizzle out, make some more room for some rookies that are committed to creating content and to getting out here and to want to be on a field and want to be a good teammate. Versus someone that's really non-existent in the locker room. And so why aren't they existent in the locker room? Is it because they just really don't exist?
Right. So let me throw this other angle at you, and we'll make this last point, then we'll move on to another topic. But Ross Napoli said in the chat, if you don't regulate it, then what stops players from buying their way onto a team? And it made me think, yeah, you know what? If I'm going to buy my way into a team, I'm taking a spot away from somebody maybe who can't afford to buy their way onto a team. And it kind of circles back to what we talked about at the very beginning of the show, which is the returning retirees taking spots from rookies. So it actually all comes back to people taking spots from other people when not necessarily they don't deserve it, but they're jumping the line or they're paying to get there, which I think goes against everything this league stands for.
Yeah, man, that's an amazing new point. It's just like that probably could happen. Like if you're a rookie with deep pockets and you reach out to an owner and said you could provide, I mean, it's not about money. I think it's about your wording. I think that's legal. I think it's like about how you sell yourself. And some of these rookies are like, I will die hard. I will contribute content. I will do this and that. I might have even said as like a personality, I wouldn't mind once it becomes part of a business. I wouldn't mind doing giveaways on my channel, giving away some team merch, doing this and that. So like I'm not against contributing to my team and to my and not putting all the financial burden on my owner. So I mean, the way people word things and sell themselves as rookies, I mean, they could very well just be like, dude, like I just want to see my name on TV and be a star quarterback, and I happen to be a rich kid from Cali, that like right. Here's $5,000, like go have some fun with it and stuff. stuff. That's more than you can buy a team for. I mean, we can come up with all these theoreticals. Yeah, that could happen. I mean, I guess. I mean, what are we all like as rookie? We're just trying to sell ourselves as what we can contribute to a team inside the locker room and out. And money's something you can contribute. There's no way to police that up. There's just no way to police that up.
Well, that's the point of making the rules in the first place, right? Is to alleviate that from happening to begin with. So real quick, we're 45 minutes in, and it feels like 5 minutes. We already talked about retirees and rookies. We talked about subscription models. We talked about pay to play. What do you want to talk about next?
I'd like to know when I'm going to get my Rookie of the Year trophy.
Oh, you want to talk about honors and Pro Bowl voting? Actually, if anybody in the chat, if there's any league people in here, I thought I saw something on maybe Wednesday, Thursday of last week that said we were going to start either voting or something this past weekend, but I didn't see anything pop up for honors voting. I did see that Cam said that the Pro Bowl this year was going to be based fully on merit, which I totally support, and that if there were any kind of tiebreakers or virtual tiebreakers, if you will, he might put those to a vote. But to be honest with you, I haven't seen either one. So if anybody in the chat or Johnny, if you've seen anything at all.
I don't. Yeah, guys, update us if you guys have anything to say about maybe even Cam or about what's going on with. All I know is that they put out an off-season timeline and with dates, and that the honors ceremony was supposed to have happened this past Sunday on the 17th. Now I know Cam is swamped, and again, this isn't a bash the league or bash Cam show and stuff. Like we have nothing.
Okay. Hey, Cam just said he said just behind. We'll get it all in and release a revised schedule ASAP. Okay, Cam, thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, awesome, man. And again, to the Pro Bowl. Here are my opinions on the Pro Bowl voting. For I can't remember who said it to me. One of my teammates said to me, or even maybe it was someone else in the league, like Kramer, Jeremy. Someone said something to me. Hey, FYI. You're not going to be in the Pro Bowl because there's a lot of people in the league that don't like you, And I said, in my text response to them was, "That's cool, man. I'm not in it to win your Miss America pageant. Your fucking Miss America pageant. I'm not in this league to do that. I'm here to win championships and things like that, and get W's for my team." So hearing that it's going to be based on stats and that Cam is going to be the trusted deciding factor in that, I love that. Now I do think there's a happy medium. I think that in the future maybe because I heard that in the past they would put every single player from every single team down to where you would make votes and you'd have just huge lists of people to choose from. Maybe it's someone with the mind of Cam who makes it down to a 2-to-1 ratio, and says four quarterbacks are making the Pro Bowl. Here's 8, and now take your vote out of these guys and things like that. Kind of similar to how they did awards and things like that. So I would
just give it a different weight. Maybe Cam is 50% and the voting is 50% or something along those lines.
Yeah, but I do like. I will say, I like Cam. Even if it's just because it works out better for me. I do like Cam having 100% of the say so versus the popularity contest having 100% of the say so because.
Oh, hey, Tom Rahman just chimed in the chat. Should be 50-50 stats and phase. Hey.
I agree.
I guess Tom and I are on the same page.
Yeah, and you don't even have to have the votes even tally it in votes. You can just have Cam straight up choose 2 guys. Choose all the people based on stats first, and then the remaining people get voted upon. And then so that you know if you made it because of your stats or not. I mean, let's be real. If it's about stats, I'm going to be one of those 4 quarterbacks in the Pro Bowl. So that's why I'm good. I'm good with the new system.
So yeah, in other news. Hey, did that answer your question from Cam, by the way? Are you good to go now?
Yeah, no, I love that.
On your schedule for that?
Quick response from Cam. I love it. We'll have a new updated schedule. And good luck with the move, Cam. We all know moving is not easy and not fun, especially when you're crossing state lines.
Yeah. So a couple people have already chimed in. I've been kind of putting it off to bring it up tonight, but I've had several people in the chat ask, "Where are you going, Johnny? Did you pick a team yet? Where are you going?"
I have not picked a team, and for anyone, I can give a little bit of a backstory on this. I don't want to take too much time with this. I'll say on record, kind of, why I'm a free agent right now. And you guys you're putting me on the spot here, but There,
That's what I think, bro.
I heard some comments that I think even Coach Craven said it on his podcast that I predicted that from the day he was drafted that he would do what's best for him, and that he was going to be a free agent at the end of this year. I didn't predict that for myself. Loyalty is a very important thing to me, and when St. Louis drafted me. I had all intentions of being a Gladiator throughout the entirety of my career, and that because it's about where your mindset's at. I'm all about the underdog story. I love the legacy that we started to build and the foundation that was going on last year and everything that happened. One thing that I couldn't predict was the relationship that I had with my head coach at the time. I mean, Gerald Smith. I mean, we gained a really true friendship that reached beyond the SFL to the point where him and his wife play virtual game nights with me and my girl, with Kelly and myself. We have a good time. I mean, he gave me everything I needed from a coach. I mean, inside and out, this and that. So when I heard that he had a new team, I knew it was going to be a tough decision. Now, some people don't know. I have a lot of ties to St. Louis. I mean, for one, their ownership is great. I love Dwayne. I love Colin, and all of my teammates. There wasn't an issue in the locker room last year. It was a great team to play for, and anyone who's a former Gladiator who played on last year's Gladiator team, I guarantee they don't have a negative thing to say about it. Even if they chose to retire this year or move on, I think every single one of us Gladiators had a great time. I will say, though, that then people are like, well, then why didn't you just jump ship and commit to Gerald? Or why aren't you with, because it's a tough decision, for one. And
that part I can definitely back you up on.
Yeah, and my brother still plays for and committed to, Mark Gronick is now the assistant general manager of the St. Louis Gladiators, and he's my brother. He has a different last name because we're technically stepbrothers, everybody, but Mark Gronick is my brother. We've been, bros since we were 6 or 7 years old, so that's what we consider, and we played real football together our whole life, and one of my best friends, Tony Roberto, he's not happy with me right now. Real talk, he's not. We watched 9 games together last year of the 12, and he was inside my house. We were cheers and beers and celebrating just like we used to on the real football field. My buddy Tony Roberto is the defensive end for St. Louis, and he committed back to St. Louis. So I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm torn between this team and one thing I also didn't predict is how important coaching was to me, and Gerald proved his X's and O's with me and this and that. So then again, I'm going to fast forward. We get to the point, you guys get it. We don't want to talk about me this whole time, but you guys are asking questions. In my mind, it really should have been between staying in St. Louis and moving on to Louisiana. But then I took a step back.
I think that's what most people think as well.
And so that's and it makes sense. But then I also, I'm never, what I also realized is I gained a true friend out of Gerald. There's the opportunity. There's great people all around the league, and everybody has something different to offer within their team. Whether that's a great locker room, a great this and that, your chance to continue to succeed on the field, your chance to do this, whatever it is. I know that this is the last time I honestly ever plan on being a free agent, and because I really want to settle in somewhere for the long haul. And that being said, I'm like, the landscape for quarterback's great this year. Well, I didn't predict the Matt South thing, but that came really quickly. But I'm like, I'm the only free agent quarterback. I can really not pressure myself to ensure that I make the best decision possible. I can hear all these guys out. I'm a talker, like everybody knows I am, so I can take my time, really feel every organization out, have multiple conversations with owners, with general managers, with coaches about their plans, about the future, about everything they have to offer. And then I just don't have to be pressured into a decision. I'm not delaying anything for the sake of a show. While I do love to put on a production, and I love to be kind of be a frontier in that department and show all you fellow players the power that we do have as players and the creativity you can have and the fun you can have. And I do like to put a show on here and there. It's really just a tough decision. I haven't made my mind on it. While it was between those two teams, Atlanta. Mark's a great guy in Atlanta. You played for Atlanta. I mean, tell me. I mean, how that's got to be a tough thing for me to not just go and take Dunhill's spot, isn't it? I mean, you played for that organization. Right. I mean, they're coming off a ring, and they're coming
off a ring. They've improved their team. Actually, speaking of Atlanta, I'm going to jump to the chat just for a second, then we can continue this point. So Holdorf24 is telling you to go to Lone Star. So I had a feeling some of those rumors might start since you and I are doing the show tonight. 13 cash, money 13. I didn't know who it was earlier when I read his comment, but I know who he is now. He says, "Don't announce it, Johnny. You'll end up not allowed to go to that team. Don't make my mistake. So that's Jack Napier, obviously. And then Fox Highwind says, while there are things about you, Jonny, that don't jive with me, you deserve Offensive Rookie of the Year with 100% vote. So there you go. Look at you, gaining fans again.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. And yeah, so just to recap, I haven't made my decision yet. Fort Worth, they took a nice approach to me. I had a 3-on-1 conversation with their 2 owners and their general manager. And I've had a long, it's a tough decision right now, and I'm weighing it day by day. It's ever evolving, and I will put a date out there eventually. I got to put a time. I'm only going to start hurting myself by overthinking everything. So, soon enough, I'll put kind of a date out there that the decision will be made by. I know I'm not Tom Brady yet. I know I'm not LeBron. What I am doing though is not being pressured into making an early decision, because I know that I have the luxury in this situation. And while I may have, there have been some collateral damage to St. Louis, which I didn't intend. Besides that, all these teams have me maybe as a plan A, but they all have the same plan B. They're not worried about it. These guys are competent owners and general managers and coaches, and they're prepared to execute their game plans with or without me. So by waiting an extra 2 weeks, I'm not hurting any of their plans. And I'm not hurting myself either. It just gives me more information and things like that.
So I don't know if this is a hot topic or not, and maybe we'll let the chat decide. But the 2020 convention being canceled, I know that Cam put out on the convention thread for people to put a thumbs up if they were going, praying hands, I believe, if they weren't sure, and then I think it was a red X if they couldn't go. The majority of people were in the first 2 categories, but it got canceled anyway. Obviously, we all need to stay safe, and I understand the caution in the league, but I've sensed quite a bit of disappointment with people not being able to meet people. Like, a lot of us haven't met face-to-face yet. I know there's some talk about a virtual convention, which I think might be kind of fun. We could Zoom it or do some things like that, but I just want to see if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has the right to honestly gripe. Cam and everybody else, is kind of doing what they feel is in the best interest of everybody's safety. And we're the only league that's operational, or esports in general is more no other sports are going on right now. Why would we want to, get ourselves sick or put ourselves at risk, and start hurting?
Right.
We're all safe in the confines of our own homes and listening to our own governments. I know we're not going to make this a political show. We all have our different ideas of what the approach should be on this awful virus, but it is real, and and there are people that are being affected by it. There are people who have died, a lot of people, and I have no qualms as much, and I think that I wanted to go to that convention more so or as much as anybody. I wanted to be there. I wanted to have fun. A lot of people's tickets were booked, and but I have absolutely no issue with us skipping it this year.
That's good. So sorry about that. That's kind of a left turn on this. I just wanted to see what people were thinking about that. Not a lot of people. Jacksonville Beach isn't fully open right now. It says Crazy 8's 2000. I'm prepared to go. I'm very disappointed, but these are difficult times, and a decision has to be made. I think it was the right one. Look Alive 24. So, sorry. So jumping back to free agency, we talked about yours, but that made me think of what is really could be a hot button topic. Is your decision making is what made me think of it. Is how do you feel about not being able to announce where you're going before the league announces it? Do you support that rule? Do you wish you could do it another way? Maybe like those kids do when they're picking their college. You get the 3 hats, you put the hat on, or whatever.
Yeah. So,
or do you like the rule that's in place now, or do you think there's some room to improve that?
Well, I think there's definitely room to improve that rule. I think that how it's interpreted and how it's communicated is very important, and I think the league has to do a better job. Even if Cam, if you're listening, even if you just have to, I know you and I had a great phone call the other day. Even if you have to do just a 5-minute, YouTube video of yourself clearly explaining the rule and what's allowed and what's not allowed the way you did to me, I think that would benefit a lot of people. So I'm going to break it down kind of how Cam explained to me. If he wants to quickly say, that's not what I said to you, then he can, but I don't think he will. So he wants what's best for the league. He wants players to be able to express themselves. And one thing I noticed, because I kind of started to come off at Cam a little bit, I'm like, man, I think that I'm like, we're trying to be like real sports. I'm like, no, there's not a sport in America that would try and hinder someone's free speech and their First Amendment. Like, you're trying to say that if I say I want to go play for this town, I'm not allowed to say that? And he said, no. That's the last thing I do. So there's a big miscommunication. And then also, I would point at, Cam, to get with your officials, your, I don't know, whoever enforces your rules, whether it's your director of player personnel, your assistant.
Mark Hurwitz, maybe, if he's listening in, the director of compliance, maybe.
The fact is, Cam understands what the intention of the rule, and there is wiggle room to express yourself and to put out content and to do this and that. But a lot of people don't do it at the fear of, just because of fear of their contract being voided. And I think that even some of the leaders in this league who are enforcing this rule don't even understand Cam's intention of the rule. And so I implore Cam to get with his leader, his fellow leadership, and I'll explain. After, Kelly, my PR team, and my the love of my life, after she released a graphic of me wearing an Atlanta jersey saying, "Is this the future?"
Right.
Mark Chisholm, the owner, some individuals, I don't know who, I honestly don't know if it's a director player, but I'm just confused when it comes to all the roles and who handles what. So I'm just truly saying I don't know. But there's some league officials who went to Mark Chisholm and said, this Jonny might have just voided his contract and blah blah blah, and then this and that, and then Chisholm said, well, for one, Jonny didn't even post it. His girlfriend did. So no user or team said anything. That's like Screaming A. Smith coming in here and saying where I'm going. That doesn't even matter. So there's a little loophole there. But either way, Cam told me, he's like, John, even if you said that directly, he's like, I have no issue with that. You had question marks over that. You weren't saying where you were signing. You weren't saying this or that. You were putting out good content. He's like, so even Cam said there's no reason why anyone should have said anything to Mark Chisholm. Now Mark and myself are assertive enough to go to Cam if we need to, or to chase this issue on a little bit. But these guys don't realize, who are in these positions, they could be affecting business, because Cam could have been like, Jonny, not talking to you anymore. These guys just said your contract's voided, and you just did your this.
Right.
And when that was never Cam's intention for the rule. So Cam said that what I do, everything I've done while I walk a thin line, has been fine so far. He's also said that I have the right to say where I want to go. If I want to do the college show and I want to put on the hats, I can have all hats next to me, and I can say I want to go here. That's not an official announcement of a signing. Let me look like the idiot, because if I say I want to go to Atlanta and Chisholm's like, nah, I'm good, like I'm going to the rookie draft, then I just look like the idiot.
Right. Because you say you're going somewhere, it does not mean you are going there.
No, be careful with your wording. If I said I'm going there, that's illegal. But if I say I would love to play for this team, I would like to play, I want to go there, I would like them to offer me a contract, there's nothing wrong with that. If I say
But what I'm saying is, even if you say I'm going to go play there, if Mark says no, you're not, or I didn't make that decision, even if you say it, it doesn't mean that you're going there.
Correct.
So I'm taking even a step further.
Yes, but I just want to be clear with what Cam said and stuff, just to not confuse anybody.
Okay.
No, trust me, if it was up to me, I think owners will address this this year. I think that while there is good context behind the league, I think there's a lot more negative that comes from this rule being in place. As again, it's the 80-20 rule. We're trying to be productive as a league, so let's not waste time where we're hindering growth in certain departments. Like, let's get rid of rule, and let's put our our efforts towards looking elsewhere. Now, where there is good context to the league, there is reasons the league have that in place. That's not what we're debating right now. It's about the language. So if I want to do a live show, Cam's given me kind of I'm allowed to do that, and he says, other people are too, and that's why I say that I wish that, but I shouldn't have to call Cam to figure this out, nor should 500 other players in this league. That's the issue, is that the miscommunication, and then Cam, you don't have the time to take 500 people's phone call, so maybe put out like a little YouTube video coming from the commissioner's mouth, like of what you told me of what's allowed. But from my understanding, that Cam's given me two options. I can basically say I'm signing with fill in the blank. I say I'm signing, but if I do it that way, I have to give my video to Cam to release it from the league, so that Cam's the one releasing it, and it comes from the league. So it's technically not coming
from.
It
so that's the problem, is the wording. So Jack Napier, who's 13 Cash Money 13 in the chat, said, I had said I'm excited to be returning to Atlanta.
See, yeah, so I think it's in the wording.
His contract.
Yeah, if it were up to me, that shouldn't void your contract. But the wording maybe it's like you said it was already a done deal. So that's what they don't like about it. If you would have said, I would love the opportunity to re-sign with your team. But you see, this is the whole thing. It's about enforceable rules. It's like, how serious are we going to take this? For one, it's like, it's just frustrating, because what if a guy says, what if like a Tom Pepper's like, I'm a Vancouver night for lifer, or Josh Miller's like, I'm a Nightwing for life. It's like, oh wait, you just said you're re-signing next year and the year after that and the year after that. You're technically void after this season. So it's like,
yeah. To that point, Jay Wells on the chat just said, so if I say I want to stay with my current team through season 18, will that void future contracts with that team?
Until Cam releases a video saying the instructions of how he told me, I don't want to give anybody advice. But from my understanding, all I know is myself. If Johnny, I'm probably going to do it, so you guys will see if I get punished or not. And I don't think I will, because Cam told me I won't. If I put out a live video in 2 weeks saying, putting on the hat of a certain team and saying, I want to go play here. This is, and I make it very clear, this is not official. I haven't been offered a contract by this team yet. I have not negotiated a contract with this team yet, but I want to go play here. Then that is legal for me to do that, because I have not said this is official. I have not said I'm going to play here or I am signing with this team.
So here's Denver Nightwings. I'm assuming that's Jeremy. I don't know for sure, but he says, y'all take Miller from Denver on a technicality. I burn the league to the ground and then Colorado. Yeah, that's hilarious. He's hilarious. So what are we doing? So hey, we've been going over an hour. You want to keep going? Let's see. What's the chat? Let's see what else. Does the chat have anything that they want us to talk about? Any hot topics that we haven't covered tonight? Anything, Johnny, that we haven't covered yet that you want to jump into?
One thing I want to point out. What's your size, man? What's your wide receiver build? I've never dug into you.
Oh, so my wide receiver is much bigger than I am in real life, which is the beauty of the league, right? You make the player the way you want to really be, I guess. So my Dave Axis, the wide receiver, is 6'2", 200 pounds. The real Dave Axis in real life is like 5'7", 170 pounds. So I wouldn't be playing any wide receiver in the SFL if this wasn't the real deal.
Yeah, so I mean, my whole thing is that I'm looking at the receivers who are rookies right now, man, and I'm like, you guys are short, like and it's not like it's unrealistically short. Like there are 6 foot and 6'1", receivers all over the league. But I mean, I see like 5'10" guys, like 5'11", like I see like one person like who's 6'6" out there, Beth Howell or Horwell, one of the big family that's joining in the minors.
The Harrell family, yeah.
The Harrell family, the big Harrell gang that's coming. I don't know where they came from, but I'm happy to have them in the league. I'm curious, like their background and like which person talked who into joining, and did they make it a family thing and they decided to all get in on it. I want to know a little bit more about that family. But her receiver is 6'6". I'm like, as a quarterback, I want to be throwing the balls to someone who's 6'6". I don't want your ass to be under 6 foot as a receiver, So I was just curious what your build was, and
I think I saw a couple rookie quarterbacks that are 6'8" as quarterbacks. I don't know what the height limit is. If maybe somebody in the chat that knows the player limits, what's the tallest a quarterback can be? But I'm almost positive I saw 2 quarterbacks in the minors that are 6 feet 8 inches tall.
That's like some Brock Osweiler shit right there.
Oh yeah, there you go. So XF's Phoenix says it's 6'8".
Yeah, so I mean, we would. I mean, it's like, why not? I guess you're thinking they're going with the theory that height may limit a little bit of mobility, but in this league, mobility at quarterback doesn't really exist anyway. So I guess you see over your linemen, you get less balls, in your eyes maybe being batted down. I mean, it's a strategy in the sim world you want to go with. I'm curious how many active quarterbacks are that tall, if there are any. I don't know if there are, but
I don't think there are, but
so. Maybe they're trying to be trendsetters.
Why did you ask about my wide receiver size? What was your...
Just because before I was about to insult short receivers, I was wondering if you were in the middle or the short or the tall end of the spectrum.
I'm right in between. So when I built my player in Atlanta, I built him for the slot, which would probably be normally closer to 6 feet. But Marcus Dunhill, being the amazing GM and wizard of all of this that he is, recommended that it be 6'2", 200, which now is actually helping me now that I'm going to go be a wide receiver 2 for another team. So good thing I didn't make my player too short.
Yeah, there you go. And again, like I said, there's 6. I mean, that's a good size right there. And as long as you got some speed, you're fine. As long as you got some hops, you're good. But yeah, no, it was just a funny thing. I took a very quick glance at like the rookie receivers coming in, and I thought there was like just a trend of shorter ones, and I'm just like, well, geez, like I only see one.
I don't know who Lone Star Glory is in the chat. It's probably Charles or Wally, but he says, I wish I knew Dave Axis wasn't so short. I guess I totally burst his bubble. Say, thank God we're not meeting at the convention now this year, right?
Oh, man.
All right, so the builds. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up? I don't think anybody... I asked the chat if they wanted to talk about anything specific, but I have not seen anything... I haven't seen any topics. Everybody's talking about my height now. Thanks a lot, Johnny. I appreciate that.
Yeah, right.
Ross Napoli, come on, Dave. You're no wide receiver 2. You're the number 1. No, now when it comes to Liam Hammer, dude, that guy kicks my butt. He's wide receiver 1 on Lone Star for sure.
Man, all I'm going to say, this is a great league to be a part of. We all know it. Thank you very much to every single person who's tuning in right now. I hope that Dave and I put out some good content for you, good product, and that you guys felt that you were included enough. Blazing Knight 2020, he says, what about those wanting to join the league? Blazing Knight, a lot of these guys in the chat can help you out. You have a Discord, I'm sure, if you're a gamer and you have Twitch. Go to simulationfl.net. That's the website. Find the Simulation Football Discord, and then to get involved, go to the check-in. You'll find people and stuff that will help you out there. I do think we need a little bit of a cleaner path, from the website of just directions and stuff to go.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It can feel very overwhelming to new people for sure.
And it's like, but. Maybe that's like maybe that's on purpose. Maybe that's like the test. It's like if you can't get through here, then you don't even deserve to be a minor leaguer. But no, there's a lot of guys that will help you out, Blazing. But go ahead, Dave. Were you about to say something?
I was just gonna say, Ryan Owens asked, supplemental draft. Would you guys opt in? And what I would say to Ryan is, I would say it depends on your position. It depends on your situation, where you're at in the on people's draft boards, but also. And I say this to all the rookies that are out there listening. Reach out to GMs, reach out to owners, start building relationships. I'm a perfect example. I should not have been a first-round draft pick last season, but I was because of the relationships I built. And, thank you to Mark and Marcus for drafting me. But in addition to them, I had a few other suitors, and I could have gone first round to a couple other teams because of the relationships I built and what else I can bring to the table. So if you have other skill sets, other talents that you can help with your team, start reaching out to them, because the draft, and like Coach said in his podcast the other day, it's not just a number. The number next to your name is not who you are. It's not the only thing who you are in this league. There's a lot more to you than just that number. So that's what I would say, Ryan, is he said, sounds good, Coach. Yeah, thanks for calling me Coach, even though I haven't done anything for your team this year for San Jose. But that's what I would say. I would say start reaching out and start letting people know what you can bring to their team other than just the number next to your name. 100%,
and great points, Dave. If I can just piggyback off that, and I've said this always, I'm sure that rookies have already done this. I'm sure you guys are kind of out front in what you need to do to get attention with teams. I'm an on the phone type of guy, and I will tell you, I mean. It's easier to sell yourself, to kind of sell your personality, your passion, what you can bring to the team, what you sound like. If you DM, GMs, coaches, and once you know they have a need for a certain position and that you have a certain value and a this and that, and these guys will be willing to get on the phone with you if you give them your cell phone number. These guys want to talk to you. They want to hear you out. They want to be like, this guy can vibe with our locker room. They want to hear you out. So I think if you've done everything via text, if you're just like a texter and I would say you are at a disadvantage. Especially if you're going for like a coveted quarterback spot or something like that, you are at a disadvantage compared to those quarterbacks who, trust me, are on the line, on phone lines with teams right now, telling them everything they can do, selling themselves as a person. letting them hear their voice and things like that. So I'd say get on the phone with people, and then also as far as specific to the supplementary draft question, watch out. There are rumors of a new rule based on the amount of people that are like opting out of that draft. They're testing that. I think they might. Okay. I think that there might be a rule change that's implemented by Cam within the next couple weeks or something. It's just rumors right now, but something like. I don't want to say it wrong because I really have no idea. I'm pretty ignorant, but
you should probably just leave it at that and say, "Hey, something's coming down."
Something's coming down. It might be something like if you're a player, on a team, you might be able to change your position the following year, but it's not going to prevent you, or I don't even know the rules. So I should have just stopped right there.
Hey, so this gives me an idea. I don't know how many of these we're going to do. Somebody asked how often we're going to do them, and we need to talk about that. If you guys want to hear some more of these, we'll obviously do some more. But if we do some more of these, Johnny, I think the way we should always wrap these up is this Q&A. I'm getting some really good questions. Again, coming from Lone Star Glory, so I don't know if it sounds like it's probably Charles.
Why are you just like scrolling through the chat only looking for Lone Star Glory questions right now?
Hey, because it's glorious to do so, Johnny. You know that. Come on.
Man.
Hey, so I'm pretty sure it's Charles because he says, between you and Johnny, who has more hair? Well, you can see Johnny's picture there, and I'm sure people have seen my shaved head, so that's a pretty easy one. And then 2Cole49 says, Johnny 2K and Dave Axis, what rookie impressed you last season?
Well, we were both rookies, and I know we impressed ourselves.
You have to take yourself out of it.
Yeah, I'd say I gotta go with my teammates. I'd say that my brother Mark Ronick, now the assistant general manager of St. Louis, he set in his. A lot of people didn't even know him. He was just a quiet outside linebacker, and there was so many third downs that he was not on the field for because of the defense we ran, and so he was on. With his limited time on the field, he still set the St. Louis record for tackles in a season with I think 111 tackles last season. And had a big interception for us, even though we came up short in the wild card game versus Chicago. My brother impressed me a lot. My good friend Anthony Roberto impressed me a lot. My fellow wide receiver Chase Earl, as a special teams player of the week, multiple occasions, impressed me a lot. My rookie teammates, and the fellow draft class over there in St. Louis impressed me.
Nice. I would say. So here's a question: if a rookie or a non-contract picks up a contract in the middle of the season like Liam Hammer did, was Liam Hammer considered a rookie last year, or is he considered a rookie this year?
That's a good question. I specifically wasn't a non-contract the year before. I don't know how it was. If they're counting your I think it's all about stats. If they're counting your tackles and you're this and that, then I think that it's a rookie season. If they're for some reason you're not filling out a stat sheet, you're just like an avatar that's there and no one's counting your stats, then maybe the rookie season should be your following season. But I don't know how the league handles it.
I didn't know what that is because I know that he tore it up the second half of the season, so I'm wondering if he's in running for any rookie awards. That's what made me think of it.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
So Charles is blowing us up, man. He said, Johnny 2K, which 1980s new wave band did you play keyboard for?
Man, dude, my hair right now is out of control.
That's my owner, by the way.
Dude, Kelly keeps she's like begging to she's like, can I please be the one to cut your hair? I just want to cut it. I'm like, hell no, like you're not cutting my hair. But it is getting a little long. If I don't cut it by the time I do my first like video or press conference or go live to put out my choice of of where I'd love to go this year, you guys are gonna see, man. It's getting pretty long. It's getting pretty glorious. My hair is.
Glorious, see? That's the word of the week or the month right now. So XF Sphinx wants to know, Johnny, how many minor league games have you watched, and what have you liked about the minors so far?
To be honest, I've only watched 2 minor league games. I think it's great entertainment, for myself and anyone who's an SFL enthusiast while we have nothing else going on. And the reason I haven't personally watched more is honestly because I've, it's like the off season for me. There's enough stressors with I put out a lot of content and it's a roller coaster ride of a season in that pro season, and I think just so I don't so my girlfriend doesn't leave me. It's like, dude, I got to take some time off, man. Like I got and I'm still not taking time off because I'm on the phone with owners 2 hours a day or a couple every other day. So but I love what I love about the minor leagues is that it gets the minor leaguers hyped. I think that it's really there for I think the best thing it's there for is for coaching and aspiring coaches that they can start to prove themselves on the X's and O's. I think it's also great to find out who's dedicated as a rookie, and to kind of for those coaches and those GMs who are scouting, and where I'm not a scout, that's just why I'm not paying too much attention. I'm really trying to just enjoy my off season, but for those but I love that those rookies have a chance to prove themselves as people and as players on the field, to coaches that are watching, and to GMs that are watching, and to coaches who are playing, that are staffed by both their minor league team and by a professional team. You kind of are starting to have that minor league professional relationship connection, especially with you guys in San Jose. You guys, you got a bunch of San Jose guys now in Lone Star. It's like you're going to be a little filter up to them in the pros and stuff. I mean, everybody can start to predict who you guys are going to draft. Probably some San Jose players. So, I like the minors for multiple reasons. I'll say at first, I was a little skeptical of the minors, merely because of the fact that I thought that while the product of the SFL is beautiful, I think that it's not perfected yet, and I'm all for perfecting a product before you add another product. But I don't think it's out of the league's hands. I think that Cam and everybody on top of the league did a good job at weighing out if they could handle this, and they've been handling it greatly, and it seems to be a huge success. And so I hope you minor leaguers are having fun with it.
I think everybody's far more impressed with it than we thought, and I think Cam even mentioned it on Coach's Corner. Just how more successful it's been, I think, than anybody thought. I guess EJ Minson finally showed up. I don't know if you missed the beginning of the show. I think we talked about you at some point, but he put in here, he said Doug Day versus Brian Craven to answer the question about when you're a rookie. He said season 13 was Doug's rookie season, and season 14 was Craven's when they got their star contract. He says the star contract, I guess that's what determines it. So if Liam was a star last year, I'm assuming that means he was a rookie last year, and that's it. So
yeah, so
stuff for you this year, Liam.
Well, yeah, and remember that too, people, like, because you'll hear, oh, there's so and so only played this many games last year. That doesn't mean he was like a non-contract who came late, because there were some star positions given for weird reasons. Like, for example, we lost Mauer Rivers, because he was flaky and just left the area. Now I'm just going to talk smack about him because he's not my teammate anymore, so Chicago can go, deal with him. Big Cheeseburger Rivers. No, no, so he left the team, when we had good vibes in the locker room. And if it's for personal reasons, I know he's like a collegiate athlete now, and I wish him all the best. I literally will never, wish anyone, I'm just a positive guy. I hope that everybody does great in real life and that they aspire to everything they want to be. But he abandoned the team after week 1 or so, we picked up Chuck Diesel to fill in his middle linebacker spot, and because of the pickup like that, he took over a contract/star position. He wasn't a non-contract hire late. So some people who are new to the league might be confused on that, seeing that someone didn't play a full 12 games last year, they must have been non-contract. That's not necessarily the case if you were filling a star player's spot who was like cut from the team for some reason.
Gotcha. So let's see if I'm trying to look at the chat, see if any more questions. I think that's going to about wrap it up, Johnny. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I'm good with wrapping it up for today. I want to say I hope all of you guys enjoyed it. One thing I would say is that if there's we want to be able to talk about anything. Like, there's going to be nothing we're afraid to talk about, even if it shakes up the league a little bit, even if it lights a fire under Cam's ass a little bit. No matter what it is, he's all for it. I think he believes in us that we're going to try and put out some good content for you. So if you guys, we'll even say it's anonymous. We won't even if you have an issue with the league or the way people are handling things, or with ownership, or with anything and you just think that, hey, I think this rule should be looked at, or I don't think this is fair, or hey, I'm an owner, this gets debated every year in the owners' votes. Don't use my name. I would say DM Dave or myself and say, hey, this would be a good topic for you guys to cover on your next show. And we will leave your name out of it if you want us to leave your name out of it, and we will just approach the topic, unbiasedly. So we're willing to do that. We're also going to start, having some guest callers on, and give you guys a platform to join the show with us and join the dialogue with us. So that will be coming as well. But no, that's about it. I just want to thank all you guys for joining us. We had a bigger crowd than we expected, for sure.
Yeah, I think I saw somewhere in the 80s at one point. So I want to thank SFL for coming out and supporting us, doing this first show. Appreciate all the interaction, all the questions, all the funny comments, the whole 9 yards. This has actually came out even more successful than I thought it was going to be. Kind of like the SFL minor league.
Yeah, guys, because we're doing things live, that's what we want to do, is change it up a little bit, always come live at you. We're not going to be because we don't have editability, we may say some stupid things. You may catch a cuss word here and there, but we're unfiltered. Also, there may be a technical issue here or there. Don't hate us for it. We're definitely not professionals. We're going to try our best to improve, week in and week out. We're also going to figure out our scheduling. If we're going to, even though we call it the weekly heat, we're going to see if we commit to the weekly heat. There might be some times where I let Dave do his own thing and bring someone else on, and I might take a week off here and there. I've told Dave.
Access Live show?
Yeah.
I might get in trouble there.
Yeah, right? Yeah, oh, man, let you off a leash. But yeah, guys, hey, I see a lot of compliments from everybody saying, great show, and know that reinstills our confidence. Past that great show type stuff, to the other content creators of this league. Ashley does a great job. Kramer does a great job. Coach Craven, I know I know he is solely the reason why the Lone Star Glory is the only team who has not offered me a deal yet, because he just doesn't like me.
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up. I was wondering if that was good. I almost got out of the show.
But Craven, I respect everything you do. I've probably been one of the earliest listeners to your show, being like, dude, you're an ass. I am the story, and you are just purposely not bringing me up week after week, And but I would listen. But no, make sure to give those guys their kudos, even if they're not doing a live show. It takes even longer work to do editing. That's really why we don't want to do this stuff. I just don't want to edit shit, So, but to put out their content, it takes a lot of work. So if you do give it a listen, make sure to hit them up in their DMs and to retweet their stuff and to give them a like, because I think it's important that we all as a community, help each other grow, because it's only going to be, better for the league as a long run. The more retweets, the more clicks, the more likes, the more shares, the more we do this. We're slapping. It's even if you're doing it for selfish reasons, man. It's only going to be good for you as a player or as an owner, as a coach, because we're just going to get more attention as a league.
Hike the Earth said that Coach Craven is calling our show the Diva Hour. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to argue that.
I like looking at myself in the mirror.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I stared at my picture for the last hour and a half on the computer. So anyway, hey, that being said, again, thank you everyone for tuning in. This was the inaugural edition of the Weekly Heat. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep it up weekly. And like Jonny said, we're hoping to extend the involvement from not just chat, but into calls as well, if we can get that technology going. And with that being said, we bid you a good night. Looking forward to some good SFLM games tomorrow night. And go Flight, we're inverted. And we will see you guys when we see you.
This is your soon-to-be Rookie of the Year recipient, Jonny Pichler, and Dave Axis signing off. Later, fellas. And ladies.